What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Gonna talk about the young up-and-coming champions and prospects that's going on in the sport of boxing. One in particular, Teofimo Lopez, was on Reddit.com doing a Q&A with his fans talking about his personal and professional life. And one of the fans asked him to rate the top fighters in his division, and that's the lightweight division, 135 pounds. And he said, obviously, I have to put Vasily Lomachenko as number one, and I'm going to be fighting him next. The next guy I'll probably put, then he mentioned Tank Davis. He said Tank Davis, lacks discipline, basically what he said. He said he lacks discipline. He couldn't even knock out an old Gamboa. He says Devin Haney is unproven. Is faking injuries or having surgeries to avoid his mandatory. And he said a bunch of these guys are a bunch of bitches, a bunch of pussies. He said, I could say more, but I'm not. I'm going to hold my tongue, and I'm not going to really speak in depth on it, man. But those guys there are basically not on his level. Basically not on his level. Only person he gives props to is Vasily Lomachenko. He basically clowns Tank Davis and Devin Haney. Now, you look at Teofimo Lopez's record to date. He's 15-0, has 12 knockouts. He's a very exciting fighter, man, with knockout power in both hands. He's implemented the Mayweather shoulder roll defense into his defensive arsenal. So he's fought some fighters on his resume that are decent, man, but he's not have the resume as of yet to to basically be really talking the smack that he is talking. He's basically, when I look at his resume, man, he's basically fought two guys of note. He defeated Richard Commey in his last fight, obviously the best win of his career. Richard Commey was the IBF lightweight champion, came in with a hell of a resume, had been in the ring with guys like Shakirkov, as I butcher his name, and Richard Commey. And Robert Easter Jr. He had fought those guys. So he had been in there. That's probably the two best guys on his resume that he's fought was Richard Commey and Masasha Nakatani. That's probably the two best guys on his resume. Therefore, Tank Davis, you look at his resume, he's fought, probably his two best wins, in my opinion, was he went to overseas. He went to the UK and washed Liam Walsh in a real good performance, man. And then he defeated Jose Pedraza, was able to stop him, man. So he did have problems with Fonseca, as that fight was very, very competitive before he was able to knock out Fonseca. And he was able to beat a veteran, a guy that had been around boxing, a guy that had a lot of experience in Yorkis Gamboa in his last fight in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Gamboa suffered an injury early on in that fight. It was later found out that he suffered an Achilles injury, so he's basically fighting on one leg. And but still, with that being said, man, Gamboa has a lot of experience. Been in there with Crawford. He's been in there with Orlando Salido. He's been in there with a lot of fighters, man. He's been in there with a lot of fighters, man. A lot of fighters. So he has a lot of experience. And so even on one leg, if he's in survival mode, basically. Don't want to get knocked out. And he was able to survive for 11 and a half rounds before Gamboa was able to stop him in the 12th round. That fight kind of reminded me of the Terence Crawford Jose Benavidez fight. Even though Jose Benavidez went into the fight with a leg injury. The guy was Jose Benavidez was probably it was the fresher fighter when he fought Crawford than Gamboa. When he got in the ring with Tank Davis. Benavidez is the more fresher fighter, but both guys were compromised in that fight, fighting on one leg. And Jose Benavidez was able to last to the 12th round before Terence Crawford, arguably the best fighter in boxing, pound for pound, was able to stop him. So a lot of people kind of shitting on the Davis performance against Gamboa. I don't look at it like that, man. I thought it was a good, solid performance. It wasn't his best performance. It wasn't Liam Walsh's performance. It wasn't the performance he had against Jose Pedraza, or even the performance he had against Ricardo Nunez. But it was still a strong performance, man, when you look at the guy he was fighting. He's fighting a guy with a ton of experience, Cuban fighter, a guy that had been in there with all type of different styles of fighters, and went into survival mode and was able to survive for 11 and a half rounds again before Tank Davis was able to stop him in the 12th round. But with that being said, man, when you look at Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis, to me, they both in basically the same position at this point of their career, man. I can't really rate either one of them over the other. You look at the resume, Tank Davis is 23-0 with 22 knockouts. Lopez is 15-0 with 12 knockouts. Now, both guys are undefeated. Obviously, Tank Davis has been fighting a little bit longer. Both guys hold a title, even though you say Lopez is actually holding a world title, IBF title. I think Tank Davis is holding a regular title at 135, which is not considered the top title in that division. He's holding a WBA regular, so he's not holding the WBA super title. That's not the title he's holding. He's holding the WBA 135-pound regular title. But you look at both guys' resume to this date, the best win on Lopez's resume is Richard Comey, and the best win on Davis's resume, probably, you probably have to say is Yorkis Gamboa. And at this point of each fighter's career, Comey is is a better fighter than Yorkis Gamboa. So I just say that right now. But overall, I look at Davis' resume might be a little bit more deeper than Lopez's resume overall. Like I said, you put Liam Walsh, Ricardo Nunez, Fonseca, and Yorkis Gamboa. That's four fighters that, with strong credentials that's on Tank Davis's resume. Lopez, you can say his last fight with Richard Comey, which is the best fight on each fighter's resume. And then after that, it's very, very slim pickings. And I will put the Nakatani guy that he fought before he fought Comey, who was an undefeated guy, and that was an eliminator for the right to fight Comey for his IBF title. And I say that those are the only two strong names on Lopez's resume. Now, I know he fought Magadonio and he fought a couple other guys, Tati and all those guys, but I really don't rate none of those guys as high as I would rate guys that were on Tank Davis's resume. Like I said again, Fonseca I would rate higher. Liam Walsh, you can say what you want to say about the UK fighters over there. A lot of them are not on a high level, over there, but still, he went over there and fought Liam Walsh over there, and he was a guy that was had a real good record there, real solid fight. I think he might have had he wasn't undefeated, but he had a couple of losses on his resume, and he had been there with some experienced fighters. So Liam Walsh, and you look at Fonseca, you look at Yorkis Gamboa, you look at Ricardo Nunez. I just think those fighters rate a little bit higher than the Tatis and the Magadonios, who was faded at that point of his career, had been knocked out, and guys of that caliber that Lopez had fought. But anyway, man, when you look at the young guns of boxing, you look at the Teofimo Lopez, you look at Gervonta Tank Davis, you look at Shakur Stevenson, and you look at Devin Haney. I think out of those four fighters, the most entertaining fight would be Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Tank Davis. You got two knockout artists. You got two guys that have power in both hands. You got two guys that can box. You got two guys that are good defensive fighters. You got two guys that are very athletic. The difference in a fight might be size. Teofimo Lopez is the naturally bigger guy, which, he's already stated that he probably will end up somewhere between 147 pounds to 154 pounds when it's all said and done. He said he could possibly go all the way up to that weight limit of 154 pounds. That's the junior middleweight division when it's all said and done. Now, with that being said, you can't see Tank Davis fighting at 147 pounds. He's just too small. He's nothing but like 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in that height range. Very short guy, compact guy, very stout, very strong, but short guy. So his lack of height is going to limit him as far as moving up to the higher weights. I can see him possibly fighting at 135. I can't see him going past 140. 140 pounds, I think, will probably be his limit, man, due to his lack of height. So we'll see, man. It is what it is, man. But that's what Tank Davis. That's what Teofimo Lopez said about Tank Davis. It would be a very interesting fight, man. Very, very interesting fight, man. Two guys on different sides of the street, as you know, the great Errol Spence said, two sides of the street, with Gervonta Davis is aligned with PBC and Al Heyman. And Teofimo Lopez is aligned with Bob Arum and Top Rank. I know a lot of people saying, wait a minute, JB Sports. Didn't they just make the biggest fight of 2019 between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder? Those two guys were on two sides of the street, with Wilder being on the PBC and the Fury being with Top Rank at ESPN. They made it. Yeah, but that fight was big enough for them to come together. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be big enough for it to come together. That's the reason why we haven't seen Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence yet. The fight is not big enough for two of the networks to come together and where everybody can eat at the table. And this fight is not even as big as Errol Crawford and Spence. So don't look for the fight to happen anytime soon. Both guys would have to build their resumes up. Both guys would need to be in big, significant fights and put on exciting performances. And then hopefully, eventually, we will get there. But that's a fight that I will be looking forward to seeing. Like I said, out of all the young guns that I look at, my top 4 young guns, again, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Gervonta Tank Davis, and Teofimo Lopez. The Davis-Lopez fight, I think, would be the most exciting fight of the two. Now, not to say that Lopez versus Haney wouldn't be a good fight, or Haney versus Shakur Stevenson wouldn't be a good fight, or Shakur Stevenson versus Lopez wouldn't be a good fight, or Davis versus Haney wouldn't be a good fight. But the most exciting fight, in my opinion, of the two, when you look at the styles of each fighter, I think the most exciting fight would be Gervonta Tank Davis versus Teofimo Lopez. That would be an exciting fight, man. Be a lot of trash talking leading up to the fight between Teofimo Lopez and Davis. You know, Lopez dad would be talking a lot of junk. Mayweather, if he would be promoting the fight, you know, he'd be saying some words about his fighter. So I think it'll lead to a great press conference and a great lead up to the fight, man. But I think it's at least 2 to 3 years away from actually happening. I think if they do get in the ring, it would be a big exciting fight, man. Both guys would be capable of knocking the other guy out. It'll come down to which guy has the stronger chin. Both guys' chin has held up well, but it hasn't really been tested at the elite level. So that would be interesting to see who actually would be able to take the other one's punch better. But I just think Teofimo Lopez, being a naturally bigger guy, will have a slight edge over Gervonta Tank Davis, just to being a bigger fighter, man. But it would be a very competitive 50-50 fight, man. Like I say, both guys have speed. Both guys have good jabs. Both guys got power in both hands. Both guys have good defensive skills. I just think Teofimo Lopez is naturally bigger. I think Teofimo is probably around 5'7". It's not like that he's that much taller than Gervonta Tank Davis. I think he's, 5'7", somewhere in there, 5'8". But he's just a little bit, he's just a naturally bigger guy. I think he's a naturally bigger guy, and I think he would be able to kind of close the distance against Gervonta Davis, maybe try to bully him against the ropes, try to overpower him, use his size and weight, being a naturally bigger guy, to kind of wear Gervonta Davis down just enough to maybe pull out a victory in that fight, man. Very competitive fight, man. Wouldn't be surprised if we go to the scorecards. And it'll be a very competitive fight, man. It would be action-packed, man. And it would be a fight that I would really be looking forward to watching, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires, man. But just a little thing that was going on that I saw today on BoxingScene.com, man. Teofimo Lopez going in on Gervonta Tank Davis, saying he couldn't even knock out one-legged old Yorkis Gamboa. And basically saying he can't even make 135 pounds, basically saying he lacks discipline. And also calls out Devin Haney, too, saying that he faking injury or having surgery to avoid his mandatory. He hasn't fought anybody, but he's always calling people out, but he hasn't beat anybody of note to justify getting those big, high-profile fights. So we'll see what happens, or we'll see what transpires, man. But leave your comments in the comment section. What you think about Teofimo Lopez commenting about Gervonta Davis and David Haney, and even Vasily Lomachenko saying that he's the best, he's the #1 lightweight at 135 pounds, and that's the reason why he's fighting him. So once he beat him, he'll be recognized as the #1 lightweight in the world. Leave your comments in the comment section. What you think about that? Do you believe that what Teofimo Lopez holds merit? You believe that Gervonta Davis does lack discipline, you know, and he does lack discipline, you know. Ain't on his level. He couldn't even knock out an old Gamboa. So how could you possibly think he could beat a young lion like myself and Teofimo Lopez. Do you agree with what Teofimo Lopez, or you think Gervonta Davis watches Teofimo Lopez? And another thing you can leave in the comment section, who you think is the best young fighter under 25 that has a chance to be a pound for pound #1 in boxing out of those 4 guys? Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Gervonta Tank Davis, and Teofimo Lopez. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.